Welcome to Tamer Bowling Video Ball Reviews. If you like what we do, please support us by joining our Patreon page. A big thank you to Jeff Miller and Ron Hoppy. Don't forget to check out Haley's Pro Shop in Burlington, Washington for world-class drilling and coaching.
All right, welcome back to the last episode in our series of favorite bowling balls. Hopefully you've checked out the other videos. They will be the crux of your arsenal. However, there is another potential slot, and I kind of agonized about, this slot a bit. Could this be just weak balls like, hustles, for example, or should it be urethane balls? What about other unique balls like the IQ Tour or the Web Tour? Well, with that said, I'm going to cover this category differently than the others. I have no specific number one, but these are balls that I think you should consider as the specialty or wild card ball in your arsenal. For some, these balls could actually slot in another existing category, and for some, a ball in this category will be a must. These are balls that deserve mention, but haven't fit in my bag in any of the other categories. Okay, the first sort of group within this sort of wildcard category I'm going to call weak. And that's what I called the category to begin with. This is what I would consider the more traditional step downs to the mid-late category. And that really is the weak category. I'll start with the Storm High Road Pearl. For me, this is a type of ball that's just under the mid-late category. For some, it fits in the mid-late category. The way I have my arsenal designed, the High Road Pearl is a step down, but not a big step down from that mid-late. And so as a lefty, the difference may not be worth taking an extra spot up in the bag for the mid-late and this ball. One note I will make is that you might be a little surprised about this ball being in the weak category. It seems to depend on if you throw 14 or 15 pounds. In 15, the ball, I believe, is more clearly in the mid-late category. And in 14, it seems to be a touch less. If you look at the differential numbers on paper, you'll see what I mean. Okay, continuing in this weak category, these I would say are more traditional step downs from the mid-late. And these are balls like the Columbia 300 Beast, Track Tundra, Ebonite Turbo R, Brunswick Rhino, the Roto-Grip Hustle, AU, HSB, and the Motive Thrill. They get down lane quite easily. They generally all have lower differentials for a controllable move. That's clearly overall a step down. They can generate angle on the drier conditions. Sometimes there are conditions where you just need much more stored energy. But the bottom line is these really need friction to do anything for the most part. I really don't have a preference for any of these in particular, as I really need this shape. So just pick your favorite. Okay, the next group I'm going to talk about is a wild card group. There is a specialty category that could also be a wild card in some bags, and that includes balls like the Storm IQ Tour, the Hammer Web Tour, and the Roto-Grip Hustle Inc. These are solid covered balls with lower diff cores. We saw the Emerald IQ in my mid-late category video, and you can argue that the IQ Tour could be in the mid-control category, and you wouldn't be wrong. I think you could say that with any of these three balls, you could slot them in. But personally, I don't have the Emerald IQ in my arsenal because it's a touch weaker than I like for that particular category for mid to late. And actually, it's the same situation when you think about the IQ Tour, for example, for mid-control. However, this type of ball motion is definitely worthy as a wild card or your mid-control ball if it happens to fit there. The IQ Tour, Hammer Web Tour, Hustle Link all have similar motions. There are nuances, but fundamentally, if you match their surfaces, they all have a smooth control motion without tons of side-to-side movement. They're capable of side-to-side, but they do have clear limits, more so for lower rev rates. I know many people who don't leave home without one of these in the bag. Again, here, pick your favorite. All three are very good balls. Okay, the next category or subcategory within this wildcard category is called what I call pseudo-urethane. It's a set of wildcard balls that would include something like the Motive Covert Tank, the Storm Pitch Purple, Motive Tank Blitz. They're all pseudo-urethane. They're not really urethane. So none are pure urethane, as it were, nor do they have pure urethane reactions. Covert is probably the closest of these, where it has the earlier role of urethane, but is also capable of much more back end than traditional. You can also drill it high flaring to inflict less damage on the pattern. Tank Blitz is by far the strongest of these three. It is even stronger up front than the Covert, but also a little closer to traditional urethane backhand. So different shape. Pitch Purple, that feels like basically a mild reactive. Definitely closest to actually fitting in the weak category, I would say. I consider them all wild cards, but they could have some overlap with other balls in your bag. They're likely to be much more situational, even while some might use them frequently. If I were to pick one for my specialty slot of this group, probably the Covert Tank would be my favorite reaction. It's different and different from others. Offers something I can relate to other stuff in my bag. There are some characteristics that are similar with the next category, which I'm going to talk about. And that next category is standard urethane, or modern urethane. I'm not going to get into that debate. The thought these days is never leave home without urethane. I will tell everyone that when the pros say that, remember, they are pros. They face much more difficult conditions than most of us do. Everything they bowl on is pretty much flat. In other words, really tight patterns. Urethane for them is when patterns are playing extremely difficult and reactive requires more open angles. So urethane allows them to play direct, and because of the soft down lane reaction, it gives them forgiveness. And with their rev rate, they have a better chance of carrying. I'm not going to spend the whole video telling you what to do, since you'll do what you want anyway. But the common urethane balls include the well-known Purple Hammer, Storm Pitch Black, Hammer Black Urethane. There are others like the Rotogrip Hot Cell, the Black Widow Urethane, and those two use huge cores to allow them to flare more and theoretically have less destruction of the pattern. If you expect me to tell you which one is best, unfortunately, I'm not going to do that. There has been enough success with all of them, albeit the Purple Hammer is probably the most visible. I personally have liked the Hot Cell a lot because it is traditional urethane. I still get a little better hit with the bigger core. Bottom line is, if you're a sport shot tournament bowler, you probably want to have urethane over the other balls we talked about as the wild card, or next to them, I guess. That's in the case of, say, you want to have an IQ Tour type of shape. But that's also why I personally chose the Covert Tank when we talked earlier from the group, because it's closest to the traditional urethane, but still gives me, more back end. And generally what most pros who carry urethane have done is learn to shoot spares with the urethane ball. This way, they don't need to take a plastic ball with them. In other words, every slot in the bag is a potential useful strike ball. All right, there you have it. I know this video is done differently than the others, but that is because fundamentally I don't have a favorite in this category. As a medium everything lefty, weak balls and urethane doesn't usually come into play. I do have a fresh Purple Hammer stashed away. All right, I hope you had fun with this series and learned something along the way. I can freely admit that even I learned something. When you think through things logically and you put pen to paper, sometimes you get additional light bulb moments. And that's why I enjoy doing this. And here's to wishing you many more light bulb moments in these uncertain times. Be safe, healthy, and calm. And for God's sake, wash your hands. A little levity on the way out, but take care. See you soon in future videos. Thanks for watching.